NHS Test and Trace will hand over the details of those refusing to self-isolate to the police, to the fury of privacy activists. The Department of Health and Social Care says the information will be available to police on a case-by-case basis to find out if an individual has been self-isolating after a positive test. The police can issue fines to those who do not comply, starting at £1,000 and rising to £10,000 for repeat offences. The details handed over include email addresses, phone numbers and home addresses. Well, privacy activists say the move could damage public confidence and lead to even fewer people abiding by the rules. The National Police Chiefs Council said officers will continue to enforce the measures, but forces have previously said that policing COVID regulations and other crimes is becoming increasingly difficult with limited resources.
It is a legal requirement for people who have tested positive for COVID-19 and their close contacts to self-isolate when formally notified to do so. The Department of Health and Social Care has agreed a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Police Chiefs Council to enable police forces to have access on a case-by-case basis to information that enables them to know if a specific individual has been notified to self-isolate. The Memorandum of Understanding ensures that information is shared with appropriate safeguards and in accordance with the law. No testing or health data is shared in this process.
For more on this, I'm now joined by former government advisor on privacy, Jamal Ahmed. Jamal, thank you for being with us. Is there really a privacy concern here? It's only for a few isolated cases.
Well, there are privacy concerns here, Bill, and we raised these concerns earlier when the first government proposal was to have a centralised app. And at that time, we was worried about purpose creep and the information that is going to be subsequently obtained. Who is that going to be shared with? Is it going to be shared with the Home Office? Is it going to be shared with the police? And Dido Harding specifically said at that time when we raised these concerns that any information collected as part of an NHS test and trace program is an NHS conversation and entirely confidential. We now see them going back on that, and now there's a purpose creep, and now they're trying to use that information as part of enforcement. This is not something which it was intended for. This is not the purpose of what that information was collected for. And now we see further infringements on our civil liberties.
We've got to make it absolutely clear this is nothing to do with the tracking app. This is about being contacted by the official test and trace people and those not following their directions. So it's not to do with the app and the content that's downloaded onto that.
So it's going to be do with all of the information that they collect as part of the testing and tracing. Now, there are individuals who are ordering testing kits through the app, and that information will get recorded as part of the test and trace program, and individuals that have come into contact with those will be people that have received the notification to go into isolation. And as all of this information is collected together, it will be made available to the police to go and enforce. So if you've downloaded the app, or if you've given your details, or if someone you've been in contact with has passed on your information to the NHS Test and Trace program, don't be surprised if you get a knock on the door from the police.
Well, that's fair enough, because if you're breaking the law, then that's what the police are there to do. And this is a crisis, isn't it? We've really got to get on top of this virus, and if people are going to blatantly break the law, then something's got to be done about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a crisis, and something does have to be done about it, and it's up to the government to spend their resources in the right places locally to make sure that locally this is dealt with. We've seen examples of other countries in the world where they're using testing and tracing very efficiently. The UK is one of the developed countries that is actually doing a very poor job. And if we look at examples from other developed countries that are doing a really good job, we don't see them using this information to pass on to the police to enforce it. Now, one of the things that I teach when we do training for data protection and data privacy is the three pillars: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, we've seen this government hasn't understood any of those pillars. Confidentiality, they're now sharing information with the police. Integrity, we know there's no integrity in the data because we've seen the university student information being recorded in their hometowns when they're not living there. And availability, well, we all know the laughable situation that happened with the Excel sheets where data was not available to even go on there. So the government is failing on all three pillars of data privacy and data protection.
Jamal, just as anybody watching, why should they be worried with what the police do with data which basically consists of email addresses, home addresses and a phone number? Stuff that was really quite readily, openly available anyway.
Well, it's all down to the reluctance to participate if personal data is leaving our control. So if individuals feel the civil liberties are being eroded on, this is the step now, but what's going to happen next? What else are they going to be doing with that information? They want to hold on to this information for 20 years now. Are they going to be monitoring who I'm spending time with, where I'm going, what places of worship I'm attending, which political parties I'm going to, where I'm protesting? All of that information erodes and invades on our privacy and our civil liberties, and people are not willing to accept that. Now, of course, there's an argument that people say, and Edward Snowden, if I quoted it correctly, people say, look, if you've got nothing to fear, if you've got nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about.
All right, Jamal, thank you very much.
It's exactly the same as saying...
We're out of time, Jamal. I'm so sorry. I'd love to talk to you more, but we are out of time. Jamal Ahmed, thank you very much for being with us. More news in half an hour.